Top five, top five, top five.
So then I'll go back with another video. I'm Strange Wayne. He is Nate today for Halloween season. You know, time to get a little spooky, a little creepy.
Spooky.
You know what creeps me out? Monsters. So today we're doing top 5 monster movies. I had my hand up there for too long. Like, you're not going to understand the reference, but, well, I don't forget his name now. Fuck. Baron Von Raschke. You don't know that. It's an old wrestler from the 80s and 70s.
You're correct.
You just have to call you. So.
I do not. Okay, I'm not joining this.
He is not going to put the claw on my head, but he is going to tell you how we do our list.
So he's going to start out with his 5 and 4. I'll give my 5 and 4, 3-2, 3-2, and then we'll trade off number ones. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means that if one of us has the same film on our list as the other person, but 2 spots or higher, they will call it Zemeckis, and we'll save the conversation for that film until we get to it on their list.
You know, doing this, like, making the list for me, I was like, what monster movies do I immediately think of?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought of my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because Monsters in the title, and it doesn't have Furiosa in it. It's Monsters, Inc.
No,
Monsters Incorporated.
That is my number 5.
There's not a lot of movies that have monsters like this movie has monsters.
That's true.
The only other one I can think of is Monsters University.
Which is the same monsters.
And
plus a few extra.
Little Monsters.
Okay.
With Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
And Fred Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Randy Savage. But a lot of wrestling references today.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Monsters Inc. What a fun, heartwarming story.
Yeah.
You get some scumbags in there.
Mm-hmm.
You get my favorite Disney, Pixar, whatever you want to call it, voice cast of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You got Steve Buscemi, which looks like our friend HT. Sorry, HT. And you got John Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
What an incredible guy.
He's great.
He looks like someone's granddad. You just want to go up and give him a hug and hear stories about
Big
back in the day.
Yeah.
And you got one of my favorite comedy actors of all time, Billy Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that a Disney movie is, I love about it.
Yeah.
And the voice cast just brings it up higher because I love creepy stuff that's spooky, but it doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo humor.
Yeah. Well, it's so inventive, too, like that idea. It was a great concept, like flipping the script. Because normally we would get that film from the, like, Boo's perspective or something like that, But this time we are befriending the monsters and getting to grow with them as they understand their place in the world. It also has a lot of subtle, but also not so subtle commentary on the absolute terrors of corporate corruption, because those assholes are the real monsters.
Bot number 4 might be an alien. We talked about this. We want to stay away from aliens and serial killers because they're human monsters and zombies. Try to stay away from those. Mm-hmm. My number 4 might be an alien, but it's really a mogwai, which turns into a gremlin, which is the title of the film, Gremlins. Because I don't know where the fuck that little Chinese man got this thing.
That's true. We have no idea where he came from.
So it might be alien, might not. But this film's hilarious. You have ground rules. It's basically this movie is basically what basic white girls go and see dog movies for. I really connected and understood the relationship that he made with this gremlin.
I hate dog movies.
Me too. But I understand that connection,
Yeah.
I understand why people were pissed when the dog died in John Wick.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a gremlin, I would have understood it more. That might be a sequel that's about to come out soon. I need to write that. But this movie's fucking hilarious. Once they become gremlins, they were like me and you at our first job. They're just raising hell left and right. They take this one lady who has one of those things that go up and down the stairs where she don't have to walk.
Yeah.
And they reconfigure it and shoot that bitch out the window because it's going so fast. This film's hilarious. They literally turn the pranksters. And I love him and I love it. I love the emotion that builds and the comedy, the dark humor. That's what I was going for.
Fair. I think you could, it's a little iffy on the solid ground rules though.
Well, that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah, because it doesn't, what happens if you live in a different time zone? Midnight here is way different than midnight in India.
That's fair.
But since we talk about India, if you're into Indian trailer action, we got one right above his head.
Nice. All right, so my number 4 was also Monsters, Inc. Or, sorry, my number 5 was also Monsters, Inc. My number 4 is going to be, also might be an alien, but it's already on my list. So I'm going with A Quiet Place. I can't remember if it says they came from outer space or not, but
I don't remember either.
But it's a monster movie, right?
Yeah.
So, super interesting idea. How quiet the movie is for the most part. I love that, and it just definitely creates like this really intimate atmosphere for this family to live in. Though the fact that one of the daughters is deaf, anyways, and like John Krasinski knocked this out of the park as far as I'm concerned. This movie is phenomenal. It is tense from start to beginning. The very few moments of levity you get are phenomenal. The scene where he's with his son and he takes him to the waterfall so that they can actually like have a father-son conversation. Like that's beautiful. And like the self-sacrifice, man, it's so good. And his daughter finding out what he's been working on so hard. So I love that movie a lot.
I threw the kid in the way. That's just me.
Through what?
I threw the kid in the way.
Well,
I can't eat by no monster.
You're dead.
He's a pussy anyways. He's like, well, how about
he's a kid. Like,
well, kid, pussy, all the same thing.
You're
right?
the worst. Just the worst.
That's what all my ex-girlfriends said. But I'll tell you what they didn't say. They didn't say their number 3 was Frankenstein. It's a monster movie. It's a classic.
That's true.
You gotta have at least one Universal monster movie on the list. You probably don't, but I have one for you too. You'll see that later on. But Frankenstein, man, it's a fucking classic. It's been ripped off hundreds of thousands of times. Not in this movie, but in other movies. It hangs out with Alvin and the Chipmunks. I like Alvin and the Chipmunks a lot. You just get a real good story about humanity, and like this is like if you take what a horror movie is to me, this is what it is. I need a message, and I need to be scared while learning that message. And this is what this is. Because when I was young, I was frightened. Now, not so much. But in the 30s when it came out, they was probably very frightened too. So, it's an OG, it's a classic. To me, the filmmaking is such a well-made film. It doesn't matter about the prosthetics, the terror. But at that time, they still did a pretty good job. So, props to them. So, everything I want in a horror movie is in here, so that's why it's my number 3.
Yeah,
because it exceeds that and it gets out a beautiful message. My number 2 is also a monster movie from the 30s, and it is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. When we talked before about this, I was like, we were talking about the Invisible Man, since the Invisible Man created something to make him physically turn invisible, and unlike the 2020 version where he puts on a suit and then he's invisible, this same thing. He makes a potion, he drinks the potion, he turns into a monster. The difference between him and the monster is because he has limitations set for his job, which he thinks is kind of bullshit, because like, I can't be myself, I have to be this person all the time just because I'm a doctor. Kind of like, there's probably some cop movie out there like that, I can see how that is. You won't be yourself, but you gotta be a cop, so you gotta be professional, whatever. Some jerk off comment like that. But it's real, because if you work somewhere, you gotta, certain jobs you still have to act professional outside when you're not at work. But it starts with that lesson, and then it goes even further because he's like a sex crazed maniac. He's like trying to rape people left and right, and just turns into like the worst human being possible. Kind of like Max Cady, the De Niro, don't look at me, the De Niro version. Like, he's just loud, he's obnoxious. So like, even if he's not raping someone, you still don't like him because he's a fucking prick. I can say that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Like, people might get offended. I gotta check.
You can say brick. Brick.
Fuck you, man.
From the other Universal monster movies, this one's very different, and it's something more human that you can relate to. So it does have a message in it. It's not as scary, but he literally turns into a monster. So just to play with that just idea is just amazing to me. And it's a great fucking movie because you can make this really about anybody, like you could twist it, and he doesn't have to be a doctor, The message can change up with the same story, because whatever the doctor's going through, you can change. He could be a drug addict, whatever. You can. So this can constantly. It's more the 1932 version is the one I'm going off of, but you could do this 100 different ways with different messages. So that's the reason why it beat out Frankenstein for me a little bit, because you can do this with different messages. But this is my favorite one, so that's why it's on there.
Yeah.
transformation scene holds up still. Very good stuff.
Yeah. Great commentary on the duality of personality.
I love how you said it better in one sentence than I did in 3 minutes.
It's usually what I do. So my number 3 is the part of the video where we kindly remind you that these are our favorite monster movies and not what we think are objectively the best. Personal favorites, people, which is why my number 3 is The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. This movie is funny. It is also terrifying, especially when you are like 11 the first time you see it. I'm pretty sure it came out very early 2000s. I'm not 100% sure.
Not, it came out late 90s.
Late
the
90s?
second one came out.
It's got to be like 99 then.
Yeah.
But like,
the second one came out 2001.
oh, okay. Well, it has to be like 99.
Big Mummy fan over here.
Nice. Yeah, but like Imhotep is terrifying, expertly played. CGI does not hold up super well nowadays, but that's okay. But he's just like, you have just regular humans who, maybe regular isn't the right word, because some of the stuff that Rick pulls off is like maybe a little bit beyond the scope of like humanity.
You get the Indiana Jones template.
Right, exactly. But it's not like so over the top that it's like physically impossible, right?
Yeah.
So you have basically normal people going up against this like all like stupid powerful being. I mean, this dude can like embody sand and stuff, right? Although it was terrifying, I thought the scarabs were like stupid cool. Like that idea of literally crawling inside someone and eating them from the inside out. I don't know why that's so fascinating to me. It's probably one of the worst deaths imaginable. But like he's also like a sympathetic villain when you hear his backstory too.
Yeah.
You know, he was just in love with the wrong girl in the wrong time. But like how imposing he is, and like I love.
Is that why you like the movie so much?
Well, yeah, I mean, something to relate to. But yeah, it's just like the overall vibe of it. It's like Indiana Jones with more comedy and like a more supernatural presence. So that's my number 3.
Solid number 3, I must add.
Nice. So number 2 for me, maybe some debate on whether it's a monster movie or not. I am prepared to argue, is Jurassic Park. It is about a bunch of humans running away from a big scary monster.
I'll tell you what it is.
It's a bunch of humans running away from a big scary monster. And then what? And overpowered by the things chasing them, and that adds this like real sense of just dread and terror. Like the possibility of you physically outmatching what you are up against, it doesn't exist. It is zero.
Except if you're Jeff Goldblum with his shirt half off, like I am right now.
You mean running away from it, injured in the back of a Jeep, yelling at them to go faster? Which, don't get me wrong, that's absolutely iconic.
Strategy.
And Goldblum's a vibe in that movie. But like, I love everything about it. And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew that there would be like controversy on whether or not it counts as a monster movie, it would be my number 1. But I'm also really happy with my number 1.
My number 1, you might have seen it on our top 5 before that. And it is Young Frankenstein. Frankenstein appears again. I'm a big fan of Frankenstein. My original list, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Meet Frankenstein, was my number 5.
Nice.
But I was like, that's a little too much Frankenstein, a lot of green for one list.
That would have been 3. Yeah.
So I took him out. But this is my number 1, Young Frankenstein. This shit's hilarious. It's literally the story of Frankenstein. And the message is just jokes. Same message, just jokes. And Gene Wilder is one of the funniest people who ever walked this earth. Mel Brooks, when you team them up, they're like Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage, the mega powers. Like, it don't get no better than that. That's the height of comedy when it comes to director-actor combinations, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't even fight me on that in the comment section. If you put Judd Apatow, I'm kicking you in the mouth. I'm showing up at your crib like Jay and Silent Bob and kicking you in the mouth. I don't care about Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow, and kick rocks for all I care about. Because Young Frankenstein, to me, is the peak of their comedy, because that is the perfect parody movie. It doesn't get no better than that. The jokes are a 10. And when you create a monster like you did Frankenstein, it's going to have different personality and different style because it's been dead. So it has a very highbrow comedy element to it, which is similar to Dr. Frankenstein, but is more modern. The jokes are more modern, you know what I'm saying? So Frankenstein the monster has to like, so that even the smallest of details from the jokes is so different in their comedy styles. So that's a plus. Gene Hackman's in this movie. That's a plus. Igor. The smallest person in the film, but the biggest plus to me. He's kind of a creepy scumbag, but he's very helpful and he does his job. So good work ethic, and he's honest. He can tell you he made a mistake. He grabbed the brain that said Abby Normal. He just like, I didn't grab the right one. It said Abby Normal. He's a fucking buffoon, but I love him anyways. This film's like hilarious. Madison Con, is it her name?
Huh?
Madison Con, that's her name?
I don't know.
I don't think that's her name. I don't think that's her name. Her name will be on the screen somewhere because I'm probably wrong, but she's hilarious in it. There's not a unfunny joke in the movie. Whole thing's hilarious. A good trope on the monster genre, and it's a better scary parody movie than a scary movie.
Fucking right.
So that's also a plus.
Well, yeah.
It's the king of its genre.
Right.
It's very, very small genre. It's the king of it. So
Yeah, I cannot believe my number one isn't on your list. And I feel like it's just going to end up spurring another argument about whether or not it's a monster movie. But I have also heard you specifically described the titular character of the film as one of the best movie monsters. And it's Jaws.
see, now, I guess we didn't talk too deeply about this. One of my rules for this, we can make a whole top 5 about animal monster horrors.
I couldn't.
Bro, Crawl, credible. Anaconda, fun. I didn't say incredible. Jaws, obviously. Jurassic Park, that would have made my list because you're dead. They were real animals.
Uh-huh.
So that's 4 right there. And shit, The Birds, Hitchcock, 5.
Okay, but you
Off
just...
the Dome piece. Not in that order, though.
Right, well, that's... I don't think that's a very good list.
Deep Blue Sea. I didn't say that was a good movie.
No. I don't think that topic is a good list.
Well, when they have some kind of animal killing something, and that's the topical thing we gotta do,
That doesn't... Okay,
it's gonna be a list in the future.
that's fine. That just blows my mind. That, like, you didn't take an opportunity to talk about Jaws because it's 100% a monster movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just said I set rules for myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Alright.
you know how you set
I didn't know you set rules for yourself.
you know how you set standards with women and I don't? It's kind of like that.
Yo, this dude is funny.
Nice! Yeah, I set rules for mine too, but mine were just no zombies and no, like, demons or, like, spiritually supernatural stuff.
Same for me too.
Yeah.
I just have more rules.
But yeah, Jaws, it is 100% a monster movie. There's not too much to say about Jaws that hasn't already been said before. It is quite often called a perfect movie. I would agree.
I would agree too.
But like, dang, it's just terrifying, man. And the monster's a shark. Like, it's not this weird thing that if you make the smallest sound, it can come kill you. Like, it's not like super cuddly like a Monsters Inc. or anything like that. It is literally just terrifying, and it's ominous. You can't see what's under the ocean. Like, that in itself is already scary because we already know that even in real life, there's some stuff in there that'll jack you up. Like
Octopuses.
And, you know, like, one of the biggest pre-production mistakes in history ended up making one of the best films in that the shark didn't work the way
And
they
making
wanted
like
to.
the most perfect idea that like Aliens stole later on. Like, it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely a monster movie. Like, I know lady's named Syl, and Syl's supposed to be in the sea, and Syl won't even go swimming because she saw Jaws in the 70s.
It's true. My mom still will not get in water that she can't see in. If it's not a pool, she's not getting in it.
Like, I've seen a bunch of seals in the ocean, you know? That's where they're supposed to be, but not that seal.
That's true. That's my number one. It's phenomenal. I don't need to talk about Jaws. Everybody knows about Jaws.
mean, it was a good list. We had a lot of good movies on our list. If there's any different monster... I know Godzilla, King Kong. We're just not fans of those personal favorites. Go ahead and throw those in the comment section with other ones that you love and care about and tell us why, so we can have dialogue about it instead of saying, you ain't putting no King Kong. I'll tell you what King Kong movie would be on my list. Training Day. Because King Kong ain't got shit on me. That wasn't even an impersonation. I was trying to do an impersonation, but I didn't want to be racist and do an impersonation with a black guy, and then someone Social
Just
justice warrior.
stop. Oh my god.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe.